what I've heard years ago, they said when the first settlers first came here to this part of the country, he asked, what do you call this river? He said, Soketsuwan CP, Soketsuwan CP, which means fast-flowing river. Now, if you think about it, it was a long ways from Saskatchewan here. How did it wind up being Saskatchewan? That's because they were told how many times, Soketsuwan CP. That's the real name of that river.
More initiatives are happening now. I see a lot more newcomers, a lot more of our own people again using the riverways. I think the more people use it, the more they'll see what's happening to it, they'll respect it, and they'll want to do more to preserve it. It's all of ours.
We're made up 60% of water. You can last maybe 3 days without water. So water is very sacred, and we have to respect it, and we need to protect it.
I believe the Indigenous peoples have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the interconnectedness and that understanding of how water gives life. Trees and grass, animals, we can't live without water.
As an ecologist, we know nature is all interconnected. And the Indigenous worldview is nature is all interconnected. We have such common value systems. As Western scientists, we're really good at understanding the little pieces of science. I know what gas bubble trauma does to baby fish. I know what silt does to eggs. I know what overharvest does to adult fish. So a lot of my career in the last 10 years has been, can we bring all those things together in a Nihilaka Cree worldview, an Indigenous worldview, which says, hey, we're all related. You know, the pieces can add up, and can we find solutions that add up? I think the North Saskatchewan recovery is a great example of that. It wasn't one thing. It was watershed groups, not putting in pollution, cleaning up the riparian area, not over-harvesting. We still have a long ways to go. The main stem's good, the tributaries are terrible. But I'm a hopeful kind of guy, and I think we can do it.
You think of this river, you know, like all the tributaries, all the little tributaries, little creeks and rivers that flow in and flow out of that river. You know, think about how far that water reaches, eh? We just think here. But it goes a long ways. It is huge. That covers most of the province of Alberta, if you really look at it.
My name is Ryan Jakes, just out here picking up some trash in the Mill Creek, organized by the Ritchie Community League. I think it's huge to be kind of community owners of this. It is a public land and we have to take good care of it if we want to enjoy coming out onto the trails in Mill Creek and just the ecosystem in general. I think it really gets people out and about and it gets those community connections going as well. This is a treasure. Not many cities in North America or around the world have such an extensive river valley system as Edmonton does. So let's take care of it and let's build community through that as well.
Having natural spaces in urban environments where people can come and touch the water and interact with nature and understand that they're connected to watersheds and nature is really important from the perspective of building a conservation and stewardship ethic. Because I think if people aren't connected to the natural world, they're less likely to act in a way that helps to conserve and protect natural areas.
My name is Colleen, and we are out here today to do a cold dip. We're at the Ainsworth Dyer Memorial Bridge between Gold Bar Park and Rundle Park in Edmonton. We're part of the Edmonton Cold Dippers group on Facebook, and everyone is welcome to join if they're interested. The North Saskatchewan River it's actually a really clean river. It's mountain fed off the glaciers. Sometimes people think that it is dirty just because the silt gets stirred up, but it's actually a really clean river, and it's a great body of water.
It makes me feel alive. That's why I like doing it. The first time I was with this group, I did not last that long. Depends on the day. Sometimes I last long, sometimes I don't, and that's okay. It's just fun to get out here.
Yay!
Good job, guys.
Over the course of my lifetime, I've learned and I've been reminded a few times that everything's connected. So our behavior and how we're doing on the landscape eventually ends up here at the main stem. Everything flows downhill, right? So I think we all sort of owe it to each other to do the things we can to protect what sustains life here in Alberta. This North Saskatchewan River is the whole reason there's a city here is because of this river, and our descendants depend on this thing just as much as we do from our ancestors, so we have to think in that mentality.
One of the things that we have been doing over the last few years is looking at ways to, instead of fighting nature, instead of saying, oh, you know, I don't want this here, I want this there, is inviting nature into our yard in a way that is sustainable, both for what we want it to look like and for us to have a beautiful yard, but also to ensure that we have habitat, that we are working with nature rather than against nature. One of the things we wanted to do was really have a pollinator garden, but have native plants that were supposed to be here. I think that so often in our lives we feel that one person alone can't make a difference. I obviously do not believe that because I'm a teacher. And I know that I can affect 30 lives every year. So the more that I do, and the more that I talk about what I do, the more that I share what I do, the more that other people hear what I do, those ripples then can affect far more than just myself alone or my yard alone.
Once you start to think about, well, when it rains, I have a little watershed that I need to maintain. And when, you know, there's bees and pollinators, are they able to come to my little area and live out a life cycle there? And do I really have a functioning ecosystem? When you start to ask those questions, you start to be able to build with ecosystem in mind, and you can really start to change it at the watershed scale. It's like anything, one little drop in the bucket isn't gonna fill your bucket, but if everybody starts putting a little drop in, then all of a sudden you have a full glass.
My name is Kelsey Norton. I'm a watershed planning coordinator with the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. We are fortunate to be here today with the Wizard Lake Watershed and Lake Stewardship Society, as well as Leduc County, to renaturalize one of their municipal reserves. The benefits of that is to really reestablish the shoreline with some of the root systems, a lot of the native vegetation that should be found here, as a lot of it is covered in grass. So we want to really emphasize the biodiversity that can support the lake health overall. Every landowner has a role to play. It can be, you know, small goals up to large ones. In this case, we see, you know, development that can be done in balance with nature. So if we can really start to coexist with nature around the lake, it benefits the lake overall. We start to see better water quality in an already naturally productive system. So any little piece that we can do really helps in the long run. You know, I see this project being kind of a starting point for some future initiatives. I think it's really valuable to get something tangible, something you can share. And not only can this be, you know, beneficial for the lake health, but it's also a demonstration site that can showcase to a lot of landowners around the lake that, you know, you can do this too. We really want to raise the next generation of stewards, and if we can be a part of that, that is, you know, a goal that I can live with.
It's our responsibility, and other people's too.
It takes all of us to be the community.
Yeah, it takes all of us to be a community.
Yeah, we all use the river, right?
We all use it, yeah.
We use it for recreational, agriculture, you know, drinking water for the city through the treatment plants, right? So it takes the community to grow and to save the community. So I think if we have everybody welcome to, we're all stewards of the land. If you're living here, you need to take care of the land here, so.
We're all stewards, every one of us. You don't have to be Indigenous to be a steward. I used to hear the saying, I inherited this land from my grandfathers. No, I'm borrowing it from my great-great-great-grandchildren, those yet to come. If I look at it from that perspective, it's a different point of view. Then I'm thinking about preserving what is here now and then for future generations.